Welcome to the VA Today pod and videocast with your host, Gail Alexander, a podcast about VAs, for VAs, and businesses looking for the right VA to help to start grow their business. Find the right VA today and visit VA Today on YouTube and ava-ni.com to find out more about VAs and what they can do for you, and get in touch with the virtual assistants you need today. Hi everyone, and today I am joined on the VA Today with Hannah Martin from TLC, Talented Ladies Club, and she is also the very successful copywriter of her own business. And I just wanted to talk with Hannah today because, not being a VA, her business has very much the same principles and aligns very much with the virtual industry world that so many of the audience here are. So thanks very much for joining us, Hannah, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your Talented Ladies Club and your copyright industry and how that came about, please.
Okay, well, thank you very much for inviting me on. I started TLC 5 years ago, or just over 5 years ago. I started it because I saw so many women who were very skilled, very experienced, who had careers that they loved. Their identities were built up around the work that they did. It was more than just earning money to them. It was about who they were. And a lot of them really struggled to maintain that after having children. They couldn't slot back into their old career in the same way. But they couldn't, the working world wasn't set up to allow ambitious professional women to re-enter the industry and to work on terms that would suit them. And it wasn't that women were kind of saying, I no longer want to work till 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. every night. They're saying, I physically can't. I have to take my time out from nursery. And I want to see my child as well. Because we all want to be the mothers we want to be, and we want to maintain our careers. So I wanted to create something that inspired women, that showed women that they could still do the things they love. You don't have to give up everything about you that's so important. But also I wanted to help them achieve it. So to be creative in how they looked to fulfill their ambition after becoming a mum. And I had to say, I'm really pleased that the world has changed quite a lot in the last 5 years. When we first started out, there weren't that many websites talking to professional women and mothers in particular. And, you know, like the job sites that were around at the time when I was researching it tended to be kind of like, you used to do this, but now maybe you can do that. And it was a kind of a lot of dumbing down. You know, the flexible jobs that were available weren't as good as the full-time jobs that were available. Now we're seeing with returnships, we're seeing a massive difference, which is really great. So that was why I created it. Before I did TLC, I was a copywriter. So I started working in advertising, the big agencies like Ogilvy in Hong Kong and London. Then when I had my daughter 9 years ago, I went freelance. So I started working from home and then had to learn how to really change what I did, from working in-house for a large agency who went and found the clients for you. You just kind of did the work. You were one cog in a machine, to running a small business from home, because basically a freelance versus a solopreneur. You are running
different, very, very different. Yeah.
And so having to do that, and I was very successful freelancer, and I really loved it. And it was part of what gave me the freedom and the knowledge to set up TLC.
Yeah, so I think when you say, like, you're talking about businesses and how the lack of flexibility there for not just women who have kids, but women in general who maybe have other responsibilities, caring, and men as well. There were very few and far between. So like the virtual industry lends itself well to that for any type of freelancer, whatever business that may be. So you were saying that you set up the TLC to support and empower and inspire women, and it's a really good tool for networking as well. And I think being a freelancer, when you're working from home, it's really important to make the most of those communities there. I know from listening to previous podcasts that you've done that when you were working full time, that you were maybe just living where you were living, but you didn't really connect with the place that you were living in, so that when you did go on maternity, it was really important to network and to meet other like-minded women. And I think that's quite similar for the virtual assistant industry, that networking's really important, not just for business, but for the likes of collaboration, tips and tricks, and, you know, just basically sharing stories with each other and supporting. And I think TLC is very much about that.
Absolutely. And I always think, I really hate the word networking.
Yeah.
Actually, but you know, I mean, obviously we have to use it because people understand what it means. But actually, I see it as it's kind of like making almost friendships and connections.
Yeah.
And I don't really differentiate between my work and my personal life. So when I meet people and connect with them, I'm connecting as a person to a person. And all I'm thinking of is, what can I know about you? How can I help you? What do we share? What's in common between us? And you know, many of my friendships have come from what, you know, networking or business connection. So I never kind of see networking as, I'm going here because I want this out of it. It's kind of like, it's like meeting new people.
Yeah.
Seeing where conversation goes, and maybe they're people that you're going to stay in touch with. And the same with social media, actually. I always think of social media as it's like an online version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way of like meeting people and connecting with on a human basis rather than just business to business.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, that you're bringing your whole self to work, that you're so passionate about what you do and you want to continue doing that, so that when you're going out to meet people, it's because you want to meet people that may add value back to your life, whether that's business or personal, in whatever capacity. That just makes you a more fulfilled person. And I guess the more fulfilled you are, the better you are at your job as well. So I think, as you say, networking is a horrible word, and a lot of people go, oh, I don't really want to do this. When I heard people talk about it this way, I totally changed my mindset about networking, and I kind of like enjoying it. You know, the thought of me doing a chat to somebody online like this a year ago kind of would have gone, ooh, scary. But it's really, you get to meet so many interesting people, and whether business comes out of it, brilliant. And if it doesn't, well, it doesn't matter. It's a worthwhile,
you
know, spend of time.
It's enriching, isn't it? Rather than seeing it as, is this going to tick a business box?
Yeah.
Then, you know, obviously if you have very, very limited time and you've got let's say, an objective of getting new clients, in those kind of environments, it's, you know, very targeted occasions where you might be going out with a sales mission is very different. But generally, I think you also need to look at things from a long-term perspective. You might meet someone tomorrow that maybe just is someone you connect with and you like and you get on with. And then like in 2 years' time, you never know, someone might say, oh, do you know someone that does this? And you can connect them up. Or they may need someone like you and they may get back in touch.
Yeah, and I think for terms of especially virtual assistant work, that's really helpful, because increasingly people are finding their work through word of mouth. They use their social media channels to get their message out and to show that they're thought leaders. But when it comes down to it, quite often people are going to look to your experience and your referrals and word of mouth. So it's a way of, I guess, practicing doing it. And then when it comes to business, then you know how to connect people on a human level, a more personal level, because in reality, that's what virtual assistants are being bought for, them, their service, and, you know, they're the asset. So you were talking about the change from when you went to a large in-house agency and then becoming a freelancer yourself. Was there any specific like business training that you did? I know for virtual assistants, we can do specific training if we want, but for business, did you do any specific training to help you set up yourself?
No, so I stumbled along, you know, making mistakes, you know, trying things that worked, you know, just having to learn on the job, really.
Yeah.
I always kind of like, I had a few things in mind that really helped me. So I always was aware that I was solving someone's problem. You know, like someone wasn't hiring me to write copy for them. They were hiring me to take a problem away.
Yeah.
So I, you know, very much kind of kept that front of mind. And when I was dealing with a client, my aim was to make life as easy as possible for them. So, you know, obviously I was writing copy, but I was doing more than that. I had to be an easy person to work with.
Yeah.
So I had the kind of like 3 things in mind that I think to be successful, you have to be good at what you do. You have to charge a reasonable amount, and you have to be a nice person to work with. Because when all else is equal, we choose the people we like over and above the people that we don't. So, you know, obviously if someone is the most amazing VA in the whole world and they've got the best skills, then you're going to want to go with that person. But if, you know, if they're 2 amazing VAs and you're choosing between them, you're going to go with the person you like to work with. Exactly. You're not going to want to work with the person that's difficult or the person you don't like. So being personable is always really easy. Also for me, I was aware that there were limitations. I didn't want to be away from my daughter, and I physically couldn't. My partner works in London, he commutes, my son was at school, my daughter was at home, I didn't have childcare for her. I had to physically remain in my house. And I was aware that for some clients who wanted to meet you and have you coming in face to face, that was a limitation. So I came up with a USP, was that you give me a deadline and I meet it. So my USP was, you can brief me at 10 o'clock at night and you can ask to have that back at 9 o'clock in the morning and I will deliver that to you. So where I took away flexibility and that I couldn't come and meet people, I gave it back to them in terms of they could rely on me to deliver the work, whatever deadline, and it will be on time and well presented.
Yeah, and I think that sort of makes you stand head and shoulders above some people, because you're fulfilling an urgent need that some people need. And then so the competition that some virtual assistants, as you say, they're limited to their house, may be up against. There's these different sort of tips and tricks that they can do. So that's actually a really good way to do it if you're able to offer that. And some people will, some people won't.
Oh yeah, but and everyone will have a different USP. And I think, you know, when I talk to people in industries, you know, like VAs and also social media managers, and people say, oh, you know, I'm just the same as every other VA. You're not, because everyone comes to the table with different life experience, different career experience. They have different skill sets and different interests. Every single person is unique. And if you can tap into what makes you different to other VAs, and then you can identify your niche audience, rather than saying, as I can work for every company in the country, and you say, well, actually, no, I don't want to work for every company in the country. My ideal clients are these. Suddenly you eliminate so much competition, don't you? And you're standing pretty uniquely, and then you can kind of afford also then to not lower your rate, so it's just you competing with everyone else. You're giving someone a reason to come to you and invest in your services properly.
Yeah, and that's something that you talk quite a bit about on the website and through the trainings that TLC offer. There's quite a few points that you need to, and for any freelancer, need to set out, you know, charging and pricing at a rate that is at such a level that it's applicable to you, your experience, and a reasonable livable rate, as well as, you know, the potential for niching down. You know, as you say, everyone is different. So even though you may be in a small niche, you're not competing with somebody else because you are so different. And so it's just finding your own individual USP. So when I say that you offer training, so just wanted to find out what different sort of training. I know I took a webinar there a couple of days ago about social media clients that you did with Kat Davies in Snapchat, which was really interesting because I'd never really still can't get my head around Snapchat, although she was talking about it moving on. But tell us what sort of trainings that the Talented Ladies Club can offer to freelancers and VAs alike.
We do lots of different training. We do kind of like individual courses, like if you want to learn like how to write your LinkedIn profile, which is, I have to say, essential for everybody. Get your LinkedIn, you know, if you take nothing away from this other than I'm going to make sure my LinkedIn profile is right, do that. Because when I was a freelancer, not at the beginning, because LinkedIn was a lot younger then, but by the end of my freelancing years, my clients either found me via LinkedIn or they had checked me out on LinkedIn before they hired me. So you really do need to have an impressive LinkedIn profile. Even if you're not looking for, don't think about it as it's a recruitment site. It's not. If you are a business person or a freelancer, you need to have a good LinkedIn profile. So we have courses for individual things like Twitter and LinkedIn. We've got a profit kit. So if someone is really struggling with pricing and the mindset as well, I think what holds a lot of women back particularly is the confidence to go out there and say, I'm worth this. So you have to pay this. It's not about saying, I'm going to try and be cheeky and try and get away with charging too much. I don't think anyone should overcharge, but I also don't think anyone should undercharge. And too often, so I do lots of coaching with people now. I've got a 6-month, very small cohort of women that I coach on a one-to-one basis, or kind of like that. And one of the things I do with them is unpick their pricing, and we work out what they're offering, how many hours, because what we don't realize when we have a service-based business, we often think of our time as free. So we kind of like, that's why we can like, we find it hard to put a real price on it because it's an intangible. You know, if you make jam and you sell jam, you know, hopefully you know how
ingredients.
How much to produce that jar of jam. So you know you've got a minimum price. When it's your time, it's much harder. And it's an emotional thing. How do you personally value your time? So I see a lot of women failing to charge an appropriate amount because they lack the mindset, they lack the confidence, they've got the right mindset. And when I unpick people's pricing, I've had women who thought they were earning £50 an hour, actually earning less than 10. Because when I help them work out what they were really delivering to clients, where their time was being spent, marketing, bookkeeping, tax, all these things you've got to take into account. So pricing is like a really big mission of mine. I really want women to start charging the right amount for what they do, because clients also won't value if you want to charge. So we've got Profit Kit that deals with all of that. And then I've got courses, kind of my meatier ones, that really help women to set businesses up. So we have a year-long program, and then I do my sort of more involved coaching programs as well.
Yeah, and you're, I know that you're also qualified psychotherapist and hypnotherapist, and a neuro-linguistic practitioner. I can nearly speak and say that. NLP practitioner. Yeah, that's probably easier.
Yeah.
And you obviously use that in your coaching and mentoring, and that's another thing that I've spoken about with other VAs about how people don't seem the need or think that they should invest in having a mentor and a coach, but yet it's so valuable, and especially for the virtual industry or freelancer or whatever, because you are so isolated, to have somebody there to hold you accountable, to coach you along the way, even to just sort of help you reach and maintain the goals that you first set out, is such a valuable tool. And people, I think, don't look at it as an investment in themselves. They just see it as a cost, but how important it really is.
And that the key word there is investment. Yeah. Because I spend a lot of money on TLC and invest in myself in the business. And like you say, I have business coaching. Every single fortnight I speak to my business coach. My business coach is a business coach. it is so important. And not just business coaching, I have continually always invested in the growth of TLC and the growth of myself. And it has always paid off. TLC would not be where it was now had I not done so. And I see too many women, particularly in the UK, we're very afraid of investing in ourselves. Yeah. And I haven't, so you said, as you said, I qualified as a psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, and NLP practitioner. And that cost me several £1,000s. And that was, I think, in 2014, I did all that. Yeah, then 2015, a long time ago. And I've never actually gone out there and became a psychotherapist. So you could say on one hand that was a wasted investment, but it wasn't, because that has enriched my life directly and indirectly since. And as you say, a lot of what I am teaching now, it comes from that learning that I had back then. So even that learning, which wasn't direct, and I didn't know then I was going to run a business or become a business coach, that has been invaluable to me now. And every single course that I've done, the women that I coach, and I see the transformation that happens in their businesses as a result of doing it. Even Social Media Moneymaker, which was a course I launched with Kat Davies this summer. Yeah. There's one woman that after watching our webinar, she doubled her Facebook prices and then kept the prices on something the same, but took stuff out of it. So in effect, she quadrupled her prices after this one webinar. Another woman just finished, she graduated from a social media management course in the summer. Yeah. She's fully booked to Christmas and is turning work away.
That's mad. It's finding that person that can help you along the way and make you or believe in yourself that you are worth that, and it does kind of pay back its cost. As you say, it's an investment in yourself because you're your asset. You are the best, your business's main asset. So again, it's a mindset thing about changing your mindset and looking at it as rather a cost and expense, but an investment, and it does invariably always pay back. Something I need to look a bit more into myself, I have to say.
Yeah, but I have to say, you do need to invest wisely, because there is a bewildering array of courses. Even if you just look what we offer, there are so many courses there, and lots of other people do. I do see what we call course junkies sometimes. So people kind of think, it's a bit like the equivalent of you buy a book, you don't need to read it because you bought the book and somehow you've absorbed everything in the book.
Lots of books over there.
So you do have to do the work. So I would say think really carefully before you invest, because you do want to see a return on that investment. Don't simply kind of, I'm going to buy this and buy this and buy this. Invest in one thing at a time and then do it. And that's what I would say.
And set the time aside to do it and block it off as part of your day. So it's not, I need to fit this in. And so it's another kind of tool that we would talk about would be time blocking.
Yes.
Make sure that you have that time to do that course that you have bought. Yes. I've learned that as well myself quite often. So you were saying that, you set up TLC. It was like in 2013. And so it's been running for quite a few years now. So it's really successful. And I know you have lots of members and followers. So did you find many challenges along the way, or when you were setting up your business and starting to grow it, was there many challenges that you had to face, and how did you overcome them?
Oh my God, yes. They haven't stopped. They're still coming. Yeah, you do. And I've never spoken to a successful entrepreneur that hasn't had challenges. And that's how you grow. None of us are born entrepreneurs. We all start, and some of us have got more of like the kind of the attributes that you need to be successful. I think you need to be a little bit of a risk taker to be an entrepreneur, because you need to go out on a limb, and you need to kind of do that without a safety net sometimes, because the energy and the commitment that success sometimes requires is only possible if there is no alternative, because you will be in a really tight space sometimes, and it can be really tempting to go, actually, I'm just going to give up. I'm not going to do this because this is hard work. I'm working weeks without pay. I'm working, the first year when we did TLC, I was posting daily on the site, and our traffic didn't go up for, it kind of went up, but really slowly. It wasn't till a year of posting every single day that Google kind of really took notice of us. And since then, like, Google traffic has just done this. But that was a year of posting with the faith and commitment of doing that. So you do need to go into it and to be able to be resilient. And I often talk about the biggest quality of this entrepreneur is resilience. Yeah. I do see a business as like the hare and the tortoise race. And so I've seen, and I think with TLC, it always amazes people when people kind of say, oh, it's so big and so successful, because when you're inside a business, you don't see that. You just see how far you still got to go and how hard that road has been to get there. And there are many lessons I've learned along the way. And in a way, I'm grateful, because I've grown TLC myself, and I've grown it slowly and organically. I've seen businesses come up at the same time as us, and some of them get investment quite early on and really race ahead. And as a result, the mistakes that you will all make, we all make mistakes in our business early on. If we can make them always small, and we make them as we're learning and growing, we will have that knowledge, and that resilience will grow with us. But also, we can build a rock solid business. The businesses that you might look at, all of you might look at a competitor and feel envious. Like, why have they got so many clients? Why are they being so successful? Why is their brand everywhere right now? Sometimes if businesses grow too quickly and too easily, the mistakes that they will have made won't have been found until the business is too big and it's too late.
And too costly.
Yeah, exactly. And their business isn't founded on really strong foundations, and it's not really. I've seen businesses that have grown because they've had investment, and it's a bit like someone has always been putting petrol in the engine of that car, enabling it to go, whereas another entrepreneur has been building like a car that's being able to run by elastic bands itself. And
that's the car I think we all need to see.
But one day the petrol will run out of the car that's got the petrol, and when it does it, the car is stuck. Whereas a self-propelled car takes that much longer to get going, but once it's going, it will keep going. So I would say, I've made loads of mistakes. Everyone makes loads of mistakes, but mistakes are good.
Yeah, so it's fail fast, I think, is what the way they say it. Fail fast, and you learn a lot more. And as you say, if you make those mistakes early on, it's a good lesson, because they will be less costly if they were ever made again, and hopefully they won't be. But it's also the point, and you need real resilience and strength of character, which you build on yourself. You may feel, oh, I don't have this, but it's something. It's a muscle. Like, you need to build build memory into that. So it's just hard work, and it is sometimes a slow race, but the slower the better. Good things come to those that wait. All these different cliches are true, and they're true for a reason.
Absolutely. And that's where, you talked earlier about, having that network of people, and that, having someone you can talk to who you trust, and you'll say, I'm having a really bad day or a bad week or month even, I'm really struggling, and someone can go, especially if you have that honesty, and I always think honesty is really important. And someone will go, well, I had that as well, and I think your business is fine, or have you thought about changing this, because I'm not sure that's working for you. Having that network of people you can trust around you that can shore you up emotionally, can share experiences and share advice, I think is essential.
Yeah. Plus the fact that somebody you can have a moan to as well, going, oh, my day's so bad. Because quite often partners don't maybe understand that, especially for the virtual assistant world, because not even that many people know what a VA is, but they just don't understand the same pressures that you're under, because they may be working as an employee in a large firm, but the business pressure, never mind doing the business, is something totally different to them. So having that network and that group's a real boon.
I actually, that's a good point. I often hear that a lot, and often the partner who's going out earning the money and bringing in, and they see you working many hours, and often early days, you're investing in the business and the money's not coming back. And they can kind of think, well, you're just playing around. Is it ever going to make money? And being resentful, like you might say, oh, I want to go to this training course and I'm going to have to travel away. And they're like, well, I'm throwing good money after bad, and shouldn't you be there for the kids? So you get all these emotional things involved in it, because they often just don't understand what you're doing. So having people that do understand and that you can talk to is so important.
Yeah. So it's a journey that all entrepreneurs go on. And so do you have any specific groups that you are a member of that give you that support that you rely on? Never mind your own TLC Facebook group and all that. Is there any specific groups that you have found really useful in growing a business?
I love social media, because like I said, I'm very honest. So if ever I've kind of gone out there on social media and said I'm really struggling with this, I've been really touched by what people have shared with me. So that is, that's something that I found really good. On a personal level, my business coach, always, having that person that I trust, that person that I respect, who I'm able to talk to. And I'm lucky, I've got lots of friends who've got their own businesses. I've got people also that I've met along the way. So, I said earlier about, people that I've met by social media, like through running my own business, that I've then met in real life and I consider to be friends. And, they'll phone me or I'll phone them up or message, if they're having a really bad day, and I'll just chat to them and just, you're fine, it's all good. And, tomorrow will be better. And, and likewise, I can reach out to them. So, I think that having that kind of thing comes from how you live your life. If you're someone who likes to present this sort of artificial best front to the world, where, my business is fine and my life's perfect and my children never answer back and
no. And
I always think that's quite lonely. And I know people that are like that. And I just think that's really miserable, because everyone assumes that you're having a great time. They can't connect with you because they know that's not reality in their life. And then maybe actually what you attract is people who are very similar to you. So you're all there pretending you're having an amazing time. All of you might private different times go through hell, and you can't waste that. Whereas I think if you live life, I'm not talking about being a drain and every single drama that happens in your life has to be public. But if you can be honest and you can say, I've had a great day today, I'm really pleased about that. Or actually today wasn't so great and I'm really struggling with this. Then you have genuine connections with people. And then you can put it out there when you need help and people will respond appropriately. And I think that's when you get that real, genuine support and encouragement. And also understanding that it's difficult for other people at times too, and you're not alone.
Yeah, and I think that's also, it draws people, like-minded people to you that have similar interests, similar sort of business likes, and on a personal and a business level. So, and it's something similar that you talked to in how to get a client. You were talking about fishing with a hook, not a net. If you're true to yourself and genuine, people that will want your service but have the same alignment of values, they will come to you. So, and that spreads all over like your business and personal. So I think that's a really nice way to describe how you are sort of niching down into your specific clients.
Absolutely. And I think, you want to work with people you like and get on with, and who people intuitively get you. You don't want to work for a client that doesn't value the things that you offer and that you dread talking to and they're difficult. So you actually, part of, I think, of building a business is putting off the wrong people as much as it is attractive.
Well, I think in the terms of VA that we're lucky enough that we don't necessarily need to do that, because the virtual assistant industry is quite close knit. If there's a client that's coming to you and there's a piece of work or a specific client that you don't want to do or don't want to work with, referral, you can always refer that to somebody. And then that gives, like, the client looks at you as, oh, well, they were really good. They didn't work with me, but at least they were able to help me solve the problem by referring me on to somebody else. And so then that good karma, in a way, kind of flows with you. So there is a way of reaching out and finding the right person and the right people to work with, even though you're putting off some clients. But I think that's an important thing to do, because you want to work and you want to enjoy your work at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So lastly, I think I was going to ask, TLC has been growing since 2013. What do you see, or where do you see it, or hope to see it go in the next sort of 1, 3, 5 years? Have you a big goal plan or a medium-sized goal? What's the big thing coming up next?
To me, it's growing the training. So making sure that we've got really high quality training courses that genuinely help people. I'd love to have this legacy of all these businesses running behind us, that are successful, and the women are out there feeling confident and with enriched lives because of the training we've got, and then also growing the content on the site as well.
Yeah, and I love that kind of thing that you talk about, women enriching their lives, because as it goes back to the start, you were talking about how, when you went off on maternity and you were meeting all these different women that had been these different jobs, like lawyers or doctors or whatever, and they've had to sacrifice or be flexible with how they work. By doing this, enables them to get back into work in a certain level that is that they're worthy of, because they have such a level of intelligence, expertise, skills. It's not fair that they should lose it. And it's you don't want, the business world doesn't want to lose that expertise as well. So I think that's a really nice way to sort of see how it aligns with the virtual assistant industry, because we are predominantly stay-at-home mums. And it's another sort of sideline that I would be quite, I'm so stumbling now. I would work in would be empowering and supporting women. So it's a really nice sentiment to hear that that's the business plan for the next couple of years. So is there any last piece of advice that you would have for any freelancer, any person that's wanting to set up their own business, any VA, just any of them? What would you
say? Like a lot of what I talked about here, don't be afraid to grow it slowly. Niche that, understand who you want to work for and what you offer them. Work out your USP, and don't be afraid to be true to your message. Don't do this thing I see a lot of people do. They think you want to be all things to all people, because you just water down. Have the confidence to be you, and enjoy it. That you don't have to go out and earn money doing something you don't like. You should enjoy what you do.
Yeah. And remember, there's always all these groups out there that can help you be you, do you, and have your business.
Yeah, and find your, as you mentioned, there are so many groups out there now, and just find the ones that connect with you, the people, I hate the word tribe, but your tribe in effect. Who are the people that resonate? Which groups do you feel comfortable in? And then actually focus on that, because we can get overwhelmed by being in like 60 Facebook groups and dipping in and out. Actually, you only really get value if you focus down and go like, what are the groups that I really love being part of? And I'm going to shut the noise off and focus on them.
Yeah. So it's like, I was going to say find your tribe, but as you say, it's not, the word just conjures up people going hooligans or find your posse. I don't know what would be a better word.
One of those, they're like words that kind of come into fashion. They get so overused, and you find, and actually you use it because it's a bit like networking. It's the most used, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm using it because I hear this so much. But
This is my tribe.
I know it all feels like you need to kind of go, yeah.
I'm a bit too old to be using this kind of tribe.
I know, like I'm just not cool. I think because I don't see myself, I'm not a fashionable person. So like if I try to use the word tribe, someone's going to go, yeah, you're not cool enough to use it. Try. Vibe with a tribe.
Yeah. So on that note, I think that will be my homework for the day, is to find a new word for tribe or posse or something. This is my crew. None of them work. But anyway, well, thank you very much, Hannah, for talking to us today. And there's lots of great points out there that are applicable to everyone, as well as the virtual assistant industry. So I hope to see more of you, and the TLC grows from strength to strength with lots more female empowered members. Go on, we can do it. And so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.